What is up, YouTube? That's it here today. I'm back when we're Pokemon Scarlet and Violet VGC team fixing submitted by members of my Patreon. Today we're looking at a team that features Hariyama, Ceruledge, Hydreigon, Gyarados, Amoonguss, Goldango. I will say I'll try my absolute best to not forget that this is Ceruledge, not Armarouge, and that it has Ghost typing in today's team fixing. This team is submitted by Specs. You can see their actual post right here. It's a Ceruledge focused bulky offensive comp, shuts down Trick Room comps and gimmick strategies, but could really use some advice on support mons and comps to complement my favorite mon. That's their rental code right there. They say they're using Nasty Plot Hydreigon instead of Terra Blast Poison, even though it's similar enough. Actually, really, I think that's cool. Let's take a look at the team right here. You can see it's a lot of 252 squads up. Very, very simple 252 spreads. This Gyarados is pretty complex, but it mostly 252 squads up. So what we're going to be doing is trying our best to actually break ourselves out of the 252 club and give ourselves a little bit more defensive synergy, throwing off our opponent's calcs about 5 or 6%. So cleaning up the EVs, cleaning up the movesets, cleaning up the items. I will also say this team has really, really unique defensive typing. Very, very unique defensive typing. I like that we're not going any weaknesses into 3 on the weaknesses chart. So that's really good. We have a lot of resistances to a lot of our weaknesses, so that's really good. I do think the one thing that this team is actually missing is some speed control. I think we could think about putting like a Tailwind on the Hydreigon. Gyarados has Dragon Dance. That's not necessarily speed control. I think if you're going to be using like Specs, Goldango, and, you know, other things like that, you're going to need some dynamic speed control. So something like maybe a Talonflame, maybe a Murkrow might really, really give this team the, you know, the skills that it needs to pay the bills. Before we get into the game, I want to say, answer the question of the day. Leave a comment. Let me know the answer to the question. Don't forget to like the video. It really does help the channel. Do you mostly play your battles in-game or on Showdown? I would say I play most of my battles in-game. I think it creates a realistic representation of what the game should look like. It teaches you the correct muscle memory and the right timings for the things to look out for. Playing Showdown's really cool too. I kind of see Showdown playing with like training wheels, but there's nothing really wrong with it. It shows you your speed tiers. It shows you moves that have already been used. There's nothing really wrong with either. But I'm curious, which one do you play on? Let me know in the comments. And other than that, let's hop right into these games and see if we can get some wins with Ceruledge. And yeah, hopefully we have a good time. Here we go. All right, first matchup's going up against what looks like Trick Room. I think the Breloom there is the only weird mon. Let me take a look. Is this Ceruledge have Grass Terra? It looks like it doesn't. We're double dipping our Fire Terra. Nothing really wrong with that, but normally these guys do have the Grass Terra to actually make use of the Flash Fire ability. I was going to say, you know, I think this team would definitely benefit from some dynamic speed control or just greater speed control from like a Tailwind user or Icy-Wind users. But against Trick Room, we don't necessarily need that. I was also going to say, like, maybe somewhat in the Hariyama, you might want to think about maybe going with like a Ghost Terra. So like you can go up into other Hariyamas and go like guarantee fake out. So they're trying to fake out our Hariyama before we can do so. You can see we don't have any speed investment. They can fake out us before we can fake out, which means we can't fake out something that we might need to fake out. So sometimes Ghost Terra is good on those mons for those sort of turn 1 situations. But let's see, what do we really want to do here? Gyarados is almost okay. I bet that Excalibur probably has a Career Amulet if they're even using it. I think Ceruledge can be good here. I think it can be a good mon, but I do not think we want to lead with it. I think you want to bring the Amoonguss as the lead, because it's going to force the fake out on that slot, and if they're forcing that fake out, they can't cover everything, right? Is that the play, or do we want to go like Hydreigon? Goldango's definitely being the lead too. Goldango's 100% coming. You can't Spore, can't do anything. Like, this is a good defensive lead. They want us to feature the Ceruledge, and I actually think bringing the Hariyama for the wide guards and a mid-game fake out, absolutely amazing. It's so perfect. People always like to lead with their Hariyamas, and yeah, it's a great mon to lead with, but like, the potential to mid-game fake out to not only wait out Trick Rooms, but like stop those Torkoals from slamming eruptions, it's so underrated. People think like, oh, there's no Hariyama at the start, I don't have to really care. And then the mid-game comes and you get that repin. This is like a perfect for also going for like different forms of speed control. It's great. So, absolutely amazing Trick Room core on the board. We're probably just going to go for the Make It Rain. I don't think there's a problem with Make It Rain. I actually think we also might want to think about sporing here. This is another time when Ghost Terra Amoonguss would be really, really good on this team because you can spore the Hariyama before it gets a Guts proc. I will say on this sort of set though, I'm a huge fan of Goldangos with Trick. This set does not have Trick. If we actually were to take a look at this set right here, let me know if you guys like me going in and showing all these sets. There's no Trick here. I think it's Power Gem instead. That's for Talonflame. You can realistically just Shadow Ball Talonflame. We don't need it. So yeah, we're going to open up with Make It Rain. And the cool thing about Make It Rain here is if you want to wide guard by Make It Rain, your Hariyama is going to have to eat a Spore. You should just be fake outing my Amoonguss. Absolutely no problem. Fake out Amoonguss. Absolutely, completely, 100% positively fine. We're actually forcing you to do that so we can use a Rocky Helmet. Makerain's going to do good damage here. And then the cool thing about this is Hariyama's just donezo, and that's great. That's absolutely amazing. This is also another situation where like Covert Code Amoonguss would be like really, really sick on this core. But we're going to be able to let them get up Trick Room. They're going to bring up the Torkoal. We're probably going to fodder one of our Mons. Actually, wait. Does this Amoonguss not have Protect? I actually wholly planned this around Amoonguss having Protect. Oh, we don't have Protect, bro. I wouldn't have went for that KO. Because, yeah, we don't have Protect on this Amoonguss. Because now they get up Torkoal and we just lose. We don't just lose, but, like, we're sad. You know, we're not happy campers. They're going to double dip and just blow us the heck up. There's also Amoonguss. It shouldn't be under speeding. Because another thing about this Amoonguss on the EVs that were submitted, you can actually check it out one more time. It doesn't have speed reduced nature. It doesn't have, like, any IVs. So, like, that Torkoal is going to underspeed. It's going to blow us up, like, super, super hard. And normally I wouldn't have got that KO. My plan was to protect and then get in our Hariyama for free. We're going to switch in Ceruledge, obviously. I think switching in... I think saving Goldango is probably better. So we switch in the Ceruledge here. And Amoonguss can just take the like fattest L. We try and Spore this guy, but it won't work. So they're going to give us Flashfire proc. And then we bring in the Hariyama, and then we can just... you know, go for wide guards if we have to, or even something else. I love the Ceruledge on this team, though. I love it. Flashfire is such a good ability. Shiny, too. Love that. Eruption, Flashfire boosted. So Amoonguss going to take the big L. I wonder if they're actually going for Instruct or if they're foul playing. If they're foul playing, that's the right play. And that's another reason why we kind of want to, let's see if they're doing it. It's so good if they foul play. See, they're not that. They're not next level. They're not professional Pokemon player. That's +1, so doesn't really matter. Nice Instruct. So in this situation, this is where we probably will Terra the Ceruledge here. I think we're just gonna fake out the Torkoal, get the Oranguru off the board, and then from there, like, there's nothing they can really do, right? Torkoal's good, but it's not like super good. We can even go. No, I think that we just Terra, because we don't want to be Dark type anymore. We don't want to. We don't want to be Ghost, not Dark. We don't want to be Ghost. We don't want to take that foul play damage. We're just gonna go for that big damage right there. And just go for a fake out. And this is going to let us also get our guts active. So it's really, really good for us. That mid-game fake out. Amazing. So Oranguru could technically underspeed here and go for a Eruption or an Instruct too. So like this is another reason why we just want to get that Torkoal like completely mitigated. We don't want to have to lose our Hariyama here if we can help it. So Torkoal's going to protect. Totally fine. So that tells us that Torkoal does not have choice spec. So it probably does have the Earth power. Again, they're probably going for a foul play here, right? They're probably going for a foul play here. We don't want to get KO'd by that. Very important to not get KO'd. There's a foul play. That's it. You're like, that's a lot of damage to us. We're going to be able to restore that much health back with this Bitter Blade. So very, very good defensive play from us, in my opinion. That mid-game Hariyama is going to be great. They are going to be trying to probably go for like an Earth Power into us next turn, but I don't think that gets the KO. We do have 252 on the bulk set here. So we should be fine. We're also starting to wait out their Trick Room turns. We also have a Protect if we want to use it. So we're in a good spot here. We are in a good spot. We also got our Guts active, which is great. Great, great, great. We can also think about going, if they want to do Eruption, we could just go for another Wide Guard. Like we have Wide Guard as an option. So let's see what they want to send out. They have, this is their last Mon, so this is a really, really important one. Garganical. Very, very good Mon to have in this situation. It means we really want to preserve our Hariyama. 2 turns on that Trick Room is problematic. We have the Goldango, we just pop that thing in the mouth. So if we wait out the Trick Room correctly, we should be able to win. I'm going to go with the Protect here. Protect Wide Guard's good. It is. It's actually good. We don't need to go that deep, right? We don't need to go that deep. They're going to double into the Ceruledge. They're going to double into the Ceruledge. You don't need a close combat there. This is the wrong play. This is going to lose me my Hariyama, bros, but I'm going to do it. The right play is for them to nuke the Ceruledge. They're Terraing. I know they're Terraing is something weird. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Ghost Terra. Usually always Ghost Terra there, but like, let's see. Ghost Terra, cool. That means they can just hit for neutral damage with Bitter Blade, which is great. I like that a lot. And so, let's think about this. I think they're going after the Ceruledge because that's the big threat in this situation because they actually can't hit it with Torkoal otherwise. There's Earth Power. Yes, thank you. Perfect. I knew you were going after it. Appreciate you. Long time, good buddy. I want this Torkoal to take a lot of damage. Stalker double block. Now, also, we are burned. but we have the Guts ability. So not only do we not care about the attack drop from burn, we get a 1.5 attack boost. We can one-shot the Torkoal. Easy peasy lemon squeezy out here. Hariyama absolutely big busted. That's what we like to see, yo. That's what we like to see, man. I usually always lose the first game that we do in these team fixes, but like this team's well made. This team is well made. I think we would have been even better at it if we would have had the Protect on Amoonguss. It would have been even easier. There's nothing that we can even really do here. We'll just go for a Headlong Rush. Probably lose a Hariyama. They're probably gonna scoop. Oh, Iron Defense. Okay, you're gonna play the long game, huh? We have the Gold Angle in the back. Once Trick Room's gone, we just come with the Gold Angle and just pop it off. This is another situation where Trick would have been really, really good. All right. So this Bitter Blade is going to do a good amount of damage in the sun. Double dip the Fire Terror. I expect about 30% maybe just a little bit less. Holy shit. No way. That's how much that does? This Pokemon is so nutty. I expected 30% also to like low roll, so maybe about 40. That did about 55. So that like probably got the high roll, and you know, I'm just not used to the calcs on the Adamant. Great damage. Like, and now the Trick Room's over, right? And so we just double dip again. Thanks for the sun. Taste the power of the sun. Twitch Dimensions a turn of normal. And, yep, we got one more turn of sun. Absolutely massive big Bitter Blade. They can totally go for protects and stuff like that, but there shouldn't be that much they can realistically do here. That was canceled. We take those wins up. Absolutely amazing game. I love how the team played. You don't really see me use Hariyama. I feel like Hariyama is one of those mons that is what, like, meta teams use. You don't really see me use it, but that doesn't mean that I can't. I think bringing in Hariyama like mid-game, going for that mid-game fake out, and forcing the Torkoal to like reveal a little bit more about their set, and then one-shotting it with a big Headlong Rush. Very, very cool set. I like this a lot. I really like the Goldango. You can kind of see, though, that like if the Amoonguss had the Protect, if the Goldango had the Trick, that game would have been even easier. So what we're going to be doing is, you know, changing the Ceruledge just a little bit. I like the bulk. Hariyama was good. We might want to make it just a little bit different EVs. Amoonguss needs Protect. Goldango would probably need Trick. In the next game, we're going to try probably to bring a little bit more Gyarados and Hydreigon and see how they work. I think Hydreigon's still an amazing Pokemon on this team, but, you know, have to test it. So let's go into another game. I just remembered in the last game why I thought that Bitter Blade was going to do about, you know, 30 to 40%, but it ended up doing like 55. I forgot about the Flash Fire boost. Like, I took into account the Sun boost, but I didn't take into account the Flash Fire boost. That was crazy, the amount of damage that did. This is a little bit of Dozo, and as you can see the dynamic speed control from the Talonflame. Like, you can see they can go Talonflame and any one of those mons other than the Dozo. So they can go Talonflame, Dragonite, Talonflame, Goldango, Talonflame, Meowscarada, and like we cannot check it. Like, we cannot reach that level. So it's going to be really, really hard to deal with it, and a good player here would Covert Cloak the Talonflame, because we're going to lead the Hariyama, we're going to play Standard into it, but I think that it's just a really, really hard sell. I think we're going to go Gyarados and Hariyama. With, I think, Ceruledge is so hard to use. We also don't really have that good of, like, a check for the Dozo. We have to go Amoonguss here. And I want to use Hydreigon. Like, I think Hydreigon's a cool mon, but it's just not looking like it's working here. I think you could still bring Ceruledge, but, like, Ceruledge is so not great versus Dozo, and they should be bringing Dozo versus this. Let's go Hydreigon. Like, I'm not a big fan of this, but it's okay. Can't bring Ceruledge to every game. Ceruledge was absolute MVP in the last game, but it struggles really, really hard versus Dozo. I would be surprised if they open Dozo. I think Talonflame is going to be better. And depending on what they're doing here, depending on their lead, we might actually just hard switch out the Hydreigon and do something completely different. Because Hydreigon can still be really, really... Not Hydreigon, Hariyama. Going for a late game fake out. Tatsu. Okay. You don't see this mix-up as often. You really, really don't see this mix-up as often. I want to check out the Gyarados for one moment. The Gyarados terras into ice. Ah, right there. It terras ice, which is unique. I'm not a big fan of that. And, yeah, like, there's a wasted Intimidate. I mean, we could fake out something. I think there's nothing wrong with Wide Guarding here, because it would stop the Muddy Water as well if they wanted to do that. We could fake out the Tatsu. I actually don't think that's terrible. I don't think we need these boosts here. You know what? I'm going to play this how I think it's going to go down. I don't think you're using Make It Rain. Don't think you are. I'm going to swap in my Amoonguss. And I'm just going to go for a Waterfall on the Goldango. It's good damage. I don't need a Dragon Dance right now. We're pivoting first, which means they are not pivoting at all. And so that means they have the Dozo here somewhere. So let's see what they're going to do. Muddy Water? Yeah, I was gonna go wide guard here. Or fake out. That sucks. Thunderbolt, bro! That sucks. That is not great. It's probably gonna lose me the game. So we want to bring out something that can pin Guldango. Okay. We want to bring out something that pins Guldango. Because I think that's probably Spexed. With Clearspog and Spore, you can't use either of these on Guldango, but if they pivot it in that... If they pivot in the Dozo, this is the play. It's just the play. I'm expecting them to pivot in Dozo. Pivot in Dozo, bro! Do it! Do it now, please! Show me Dozo! If they pivot in that Dozo, we actually have shots to win this one. Hydreigon's a good mon versus things like Guldango. If they don't pivot in, we just lose. That's literally it. Yes, bro! TY. Should be Dozo. Dragonite. Hey, that's still good. Hey, that's a good spore target still. That's still a good spore target. Like, we're trying to do this to block the Draco, too. It's still good. I want to see if they're choiced on the Tatsu. Muddy Water, so they might still be choiced. And this is fine. So we know it's these two plus Guldango, or Guldango and Dozo. Cool. Absolutely fine. Big spore there. It's a value spore. That tells me that the Tatsu's choice, so I don't care about that. We're actually going to double dip and go like that. Don't need a Nasty Pot. They have Unaware. So if they have Unaware, it's just this. You pivot out Dozo, you're going to take way too much damage out of this. Way too much. Like, you're going to be switching in on a Clear Smog, first of all. And if you switch in Guldango, that's probably also wrong. If anything, you're switching out Tatsu for Guldango. And if you do that, I might be a little pinned. But, like, I'm not... I could always pivot away if I had to, maybe. They're staying in. I think that Tatsu's choiced. Really do. Terra Dragonite, are you fairy? Normal. I mean, you're asleep. You haven't even started your sleep turns. So, go nuts, Chuck. Can't believe they're staying in. They have to be asleep that turn. Yeah, they're totally choiced. Hopefully they don't get any accuracy drops on us. No! That's bad. Alright, at least we still hit. Very important. That's multi-scale braked. And let's see. We thought they would switch in Dozo. That's why we did that. It's weird. The Dragonite still has its eyes open even though it's asleep. We're swapping in here because if you swap out any of those for Dozo, first of all, I'm going to put your Tatsu to sleep if I can, if you just stay in. And second, I can just go fake out and go for other stuff. So that's switching out. Who's going to bed? Is it Guldango? We're going to find out. Dozo sleep, though! That's awesome. I hope we don't get just a one-turn sleep in this Dragonite. I swear I've gotten one-turn sleeps all my life. I've had so many one-turn sleeps, bro. Awesome. Two-turn sleep is awesome. I'll take it. That's fair and balanced gameplay out here. And that's just what we want to see. So we can fake out either of these guys. We're also switching in that Hariyama to get the Guts proc active immediately, right? So it's so smart. So we do a ton of damage. I'm actually going to close combat the Dragonite slot and clear smog the Dozo. This makes it if they switch out the Dragonite for Tatsu, the close combat would miss, but the clear smog goes into the Dozo who has to stay asleep. This is almost a win-win. I think this is another situation where Ghost Terra or Hariyama could be really good to be able to block that E-speed if they do wake up. But it's close combat. And if they go into Guldango on that, if they go into... Actually, I'm going to Headlong Rush. They're probably switching that for Guldango. We could probably still kill the Dragon at the Headlong Rush. Yep, because it's normal Terra. I like that play. Who is switching? What are you switching for? Guldango is still a big problem, but I think it's choiced. And we didn't show Wide-Guard earlier, which makes me the rage quit, bro. That was it. That was they saw the pin. But the thing is, I set that up like 2 turns in advance. Like, they finally just caught up to my big brain stats. That's such a rage quit. There's no switch in for that. There's no switch in. Tatsu comes in, gets one-shotted, and it's choiced. That's a choice Scarf Tatsu to be able to outspeed the monster it was outspeeding, and it's a choice Specs Guldango. There's no switch ins for it. Both their mons are asleep. Both their mons are pinned. That's amazing gameplay. Like, this team is good. Like, on paper, this team is doing everything right. But I'm telling you right now, it can be even better. We don't really need this Gyarados slot. It's not really giving us anything that we wouldn't already have. Ceruledge is the right mon for this team to actually apply pressure. Hariyama is a great mid-game. Like you saw, I talked about it. You don't need to weave with this thing. You keep your Hariyama in the back, bring it out mid-game, and then they're like, no. There's nothing that they have. Amoonguss has played very, very well. I wish it still had Protect. I want to change it a little bit. Guldango is also very important. Hydreigon's very important. But now what we're going to do is we're going to go take a look at the team fixing part of the team. And again, you guys can totally use the rental code. We'll show it in just a sec. This is a great team. You can totally use this rental. It totally works. Hopefully they keep it up a little bit. But yeah, this is your reminder to like the video if you haven't. We're always trying to get these videos to 100 likes. If we can get these videos to 100 likes on every one of them, I'll keep making them. So let's hop into the team building fortune right now. So again, here's the rental. Feel free to add this rental to your own games. This rental works totally fine. It works very, very well. I'm not a big fan. Oh, and actually, the Gyarados is Water Terra. I think I said it was Ice Terra. It looks like it is Water Terra, and that's just completely my fault. I assumed it was like Ice Terra for some reason because it looked like ice and it had Ice Fang, but that's my fault. Ceruledge, very, very good mon. Hariyama, great mid-game mon. I really like the Hariyama on this team. Hydreigon seems solid as well. I think if we can optimize it, Amoonguss can be optimized. Guldango seems solid, but it can be tweaked just a little bit. So what we're going to be doing is taking a look at all of the stats on this team, going and fixing up the EVs, and then we're going to be using this team in some games after we fix it. So the first thing we want to do is take a look at this team's defensive synergy. Very, very good. We have weaknesses like fire. There's two things that resist it and a flash fire user. Ice, we have weaknesses to ice on like Amoonguss and Hydreigon. Those are mitigated by things like Guldango and Ceruledge. You can see for the most part, we have mons to switch in on every single one of our weaknesses, and this is a very, very well-made defensive core. I like it a lot. I think the biggest thing that this team struggles with is the EVs, and that's what they said in their original submission. Like, they really think that they need advice and support mons and comps to complement your favorite mons. So what we're going to be doing is fixing the EVs and giving you just one big thing. I really think this Gyarados, while it does provide Intimidate, we don't really need Intimidate on this team. I don't think Intimidate's that valuable. Like, think about what you need Intimidate for. To think about what you need Intimidate for, you can go to your usage stats. So we can see things based off how they're used. So Guldango, most popular Pokemon in the format, special attacker. You don't need Intimidate. You don't need Intimidate. Yeah, you can Intimidate a Garchomp, but they could just hold a Clear Amulet. You can Intimidate and Annihilate, but then it's a Defiant. It's not good, right? You could be intimidating a Masquerada, but then it just crits you with a Flower Gift. You're starting to see the situations where Intimidate, even on things like Dragonite, they just have Inner Focus. Or worst case scenario, if they really don't want to get intimidated, they can just hold a Clear Amulet. So Intimidate isn't really as good as it was in previous gens, in my opinion. Reflex is going to be a much better option in a lot of situations, which, you know, this team's not really using screen. So I think you can cut this Gyarados, like, completely. Like, Gyarados is cool mon. It provides good pivoting because it has flying type to make it so you can switch your Ceruledge or Guldango into it, but I think you're going to get a lot more value out of Murkrow here. Murkrow, there's a reason why we're using Murkrow here, and you may be thinking that's you just add Murkrow to every team, it's so good. Well, it is so good, but its Prankster ability here is going to let us use not only Tailwind, but Haze. And you're like, that's all your Murkrows have, Tailwind, Haze. Yeah, but the Haze, it's you have the perfect, like, money team for Haze, because you haze away the Intimidates, right? You also haze away your Make It Rain and Draco Meteor drops. So it's so perfect. This is a little bit meta, but these are the perfect Pokemon to pair for these things. Like, it's so good. What's Murkrow weak against? Things like fairy attacks? Pivot in your Ceruledge. What's Ceruledge weak against? Ground attacks? Pivot in your Murkrow. It's so, so, so good. And it gives the team that illusion of this is such a good team, because they have to respect Fake Out from Hariyama and Tailwind. They have to respect Redirection from Amoonguss and Tailwind. They have to respect Tailwind Murkrow that could also hold a Cover Cloak. They also have to respect Tailwind Murkrow paired next to Hydreigon, next Guldango, next to Ceruledge. Like, there's so many different little intricacies that you get by just adding Murkrow to the team, and then you don't even have to bring it. Like, you can still open up Hariyama Ceruledge or Amoonguss Ceruledge or do whatever you want, but the Murkrow is there to say, if you're not respecting this, you will lose. So it forces things like trading Tailwind, forces things like Fake Outs. If you're forcing those sort of things, you can get big punishes with things like Amoonguss and Ceruledge. So Murkrow's a really, really good change here. The set that I would recommend is the one that I recommend on a lot of sets. If you're not already using your Sash, you don't need to go Eviolite on this thing. And again, the reason why we use Murkrow over Honchkrow is Honchkrow does not get Tailwind while Murkrow does. So I think the Life Orb set is absolutely fine. You still want the Brave Bird here. Brave Bird's still going to be great. This is what you can use to pin Masqueradas. This is what you can use to repin other Ceruledges and Armor Rouges that go Grass Terra. You want to condition them into Grass Terraing to lose that weakness to ghost attacks, and then from there you just pin with Brave Bird or Sucker Punch and you're good to go. Mostly Brave Bird, right? And again, you can just make your EV spread very, very simple. You still want that full speed to outspeed base 90s. There are a lot of popular base 90s in this format. I always talk about all the popular speed tiers, things like Dragapult, things like base 100s, but there's a lot of good base 90s as well. And by outspeeding these base 90s, like Annihilate is the most important one. Flamigo's also base 90, Lucario, Lilligant, Reveroom, Zangoose, Pikachu's actually not that bad of a base 90. You're also, by proxy, outspeeding everything under it. So you're outspeeding Vivillons, outspeeding Baxcaliburs, outspeeding Rotoms. Very, very important to still outspeed those things. So when they trade Tailwinds with you, or there's no Tailwind involved, you still have speed control. You basically only want to ever Tailwind. You want to hold on to that as long as possible, and you only ever really want to Tailwind once your opponent has the potential to match your speed control. Otherwise, like if I were to lead like Murkrow and Goldango, and they were to lead like something like Gardevoir and... let's see, Gardevoir and, like a Lilligant, for example, we outspeed both those. We just go dumpster it. We just go like make it rain Brave Bird and just win the game. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. We don't need a Tailwind in that situation. So Murkrow, easy peasy lemon squeezy set here. Hydreigon. I'm a big fan of the Sash Hydreigon. I think it's really, really cool. The pace that you submitted had Terra Blast, and I think you should keep it. I think Terra Hydreigon's great. I like Steel Terra. It plays very well with this team because you also, can pivot in the Ceruledge, but the Poison Terra is very, very fun as well. Poison Terra makes it so you're losing that fighting weakness, and so it can bait those mons. I think it's also just there for Sylveon, obviously. It helps it a little bit versus the Meowscarada matchup as well, so I can completely understand the Poison Terra. It's good here. I would stick with this. This is good. You want to be full speed too, to speed tie other Hydreigons. Still want the Draco Meteor, still want the Dark Pulse, and again, once you just slam these Dracos all day, what you're going to be doing is hazing away those stat drops so you continually spam those Dracos. The Goldango Specs is really good here. I like the Timid set. I know a lot of people like to change it up and use like a modest set, but I don't like being outsped by other Goldangos. I also think you don't really need Power Gem if you're really afraid of things like Talonflame. You have Thunderbolt and Power Gem here. You don't need both. I think first of all you should be using Trick on a choice item set. I really, really do think you should be using Trick on a choice item set. And if you're not going to be changing your Terra, what you would probably want to do is think about something like Focus Blast. Let's see some other moves that you could use, but you don't need all those offensive options. You really, really don't. Let's see. I think you should go Terra Blast. And you could totally keep your Steel Terra, double dip the Steel Terra with the choice specs and just one-shot everything. But like Terra Blast, let's see like what types we need to cover up for. Like what mons are the most problematic for Goldango to deal with. Dozos are still a little bit hard to deal with, so like you could think about even going Grass Terra here, and you have good as gold, so you're not affected by spores, but Grass Terra makes so you're not affected by Rage Powder. So I would think about this. If you don't like this, you don't have to do it. But like this makes it so you're unaffected by Rage Powder as well. So you can actually still Terra Blast through those things and hit those mons. Another thing you can do though is just go, you can put back your Thunderbolt or your Power Gem. Keep that on your specs if you want it. I think there are usefulnesses for Thunderbolt, because like I think in one of the games we played today, we even got Thunderbolted on our Gyarados. There is usefulness for Thunderbolt, but I think realistically, you could also even make it like a defensive typing. Like you could make it Flying Terra to avoid more ground attacks and stuff like that. There are also sets that use like Dazzling Gleam in some situations. I think Focus Blast is somewhat good. I like sets like this. This is just me, my opinion. Among Us, I always tell people, make this thing dark. It's so good. There's also times on both of these mons you want to make them ghost to be able to avoid fake outs, so you can always go for your spores or your fake outs. I still think dark is the right play here, and so we'll make this guy dark here. It's basically it's for avoiding psychic attacks if they're just going to be going with Gardevoirs, or avoiding those prankster taunts. I also will tell you, you don't need both Palm Puff and Clear Smog. I think realistically you have to have Protect on these redirection mons. It's so important, and I would definitely be going with Protect. I think you need the Clear Smog because this is the answer for the Dozo matchup. We even used it in one of the games, and that's one of the reasons why they rage quit. Hariyama, good set. Don't have to really change that. We'll mess with the EVs in a minute. This guy, though, we don't need Swords Dance here. I'm not a big fan of the Swords Dance. I don't think it's actually helping you. You definitely want the Terra Blast here, and you want to make this Grass. I know this is a little bit standard, right? But this is the coverage that this thing needs to like check things like Gastrodon, for example, like or other Dozos and stuff like that. Like you can't break those mons without this sort of stuff. So it's kind of important. And then, you know, you still have your flash fire, so they can't hit you for super effective. The only thing you can do is ice, and if they want to use an ice deck on you, well, then you don't Terra, you know? Like, use protects, pivots, things like that, you're in a good spot. I think it's very, very good. And so let's go mess with some of these EVs and abilities. I do not think that you need the Rocky Helmet on the set, especially on a set that is full special D. It's a little bit clashing because there's only a couple moves in the whole game that make contact as special attacks, like Grass Knot's one of them that just for some reason makes contact, but most special attacks don't make contact, so you don't really need Rocky Helmet. So I would definitely make this an Iron Ball. And the reason why I like Iron Ball here, I've recommended on a bunch of teams, it lets you underspeed Trick Room users. Let you underspeed those things like Torkoal. So you can just let them go Torkoal. You can let them go big with their Sylveons or anything that they want. You just underspeed those guys, let them set up Trick Room, and just go take them out. You can even go with the Mental Herb on this set. I think it wouldn't be terrible, but I'm a big fan of that. You also don't need to have as much points in HP. I think 236 is a much better number because you're not going to get as diminishing returns. Put the last 20 in here, and be sure whenever you're using Amoonguss, you need this thing to be like a speed reduced 0 speed. It's so important. Otherwise, this doesn't work. Like, Amoonguss is going to have a 31 base here, and that's going to get cut in half thanks to your Iron Ball. And so you need to be 0 to actually make this thing work correctly. And I know I've recommended this Amoonguss set a lot, but it's very, very good. You can go full aggro with the rest of your mons and just save this for your Trick Room matchup. They can get up their Trick Room all they want, and you just spore everything. Easy peasy. Hariyama, you don't need this much bulk, in my opinion, but I think you can actually benefit from putting a little bit in speed on this guy. Just a little bit. 50 is a relatively popular base speed. So something like 12 just to outspeed other Hariyamas. Very, very important. And then from there, you know, I liked the full attack. I actually thought that was really, really fun. You go like a 236, and then instead of going, you don't even really need to go 236, but what you want to do with that last 8 is you always want to split that up into a 4-4 here. It's not that deep, but the reason behind that is like 1 point in HP, you know, because it's after the first 4, it's every 8 for your EVs at level 50. Taking those same 8 points, getting 1 HP is not nearly as valuable as getting 1 point in each respective defense. And we're actually getting big diminishing returns on Hariyama. Like, if you want to take a lot more out of that and make a really, really bulky, crazy Hariyama set that has something built more like this, that has like maybe only like 100, and then, you know, something more like, I would say Hariyama's going to be eating more physical attacks as a pivot, in my opinion, because this team has a little bit more weaknesses to physical types. So we'd be having like 100 here and then like a 44. I'd do something more like this. This just makes Hariyama generally really, really bulky. It has such huge bloated base HP that you're making, putting points directly into the respective defenses that you want are going to make yourself overall a lot more bulky. It still hits as hard as you want. It's a little bit faster, and so also another thing about this is if you see other Hariyamas, those are going to be 0 speed reduced usually. You're going to see them, you can fake out them turn 1 and just nuke them with your teammate if you want. So it stops other Hariyamas from being able to fake out your teammates as well. So very, very good. Very, very good stuff. I like this a lot. This set's just a little bit better. And the Ceruledge. Now, Ceruledge is a bit of a weird one. What we do want to do with Ceruledge is make sure that when we have our Tailwind up, we're hitting the correct speed tiers. I've talked about it multiple times. You want to take a look at what Pokemon are popular, what speed tiers you think you need to outspeed. You can sort that by going to the Pokedex on Showdown, sorting it by speed. Dragapult is usually the number. You want to be able to outspeed Pult, just so you can force the Pult into going Sucker Punches. Like, if Pult's like half, you're still going to get a KO with like a Life Orb boosted Bitter Blade. So you're still in a really good spot there. So we need to outspeed 142. So the way that we want to do that here is go to your Ceruledge. Ceruledge, plug in a Pult. So again, I've talked about the same, like, it's always Dragapult. Like, it's almost always Dragapult. Like, if your mon like automatically checks Dragapult, then one that I would go under that would probably be Meowscarada. And Meowscarada's a 123 base, so you can take a lot more points out, but, you know, you might as well at that point outspeed Talonflame, you might as well at that point outspeed base 130s, you might as well at that point still outspeed the Dragapult. That's why you always want to do Dragapult. So Dragapult speed, for those of you guys that are new to this sort of series, I guess a 213 if they're Jolly or Timid. So that's going to be setting these guys to level 50 as well, because EVs are run differently at level 50 and level 100. So you can see 213 is the number that we need to outspeed. So we need to get to 214, and realistically, we might even want to speed creep that by 1 more just to outspeed things that speed creep Pult by 1 point. So you can see there's no way that we can actually get there with this Ceruledge. But we have Tailwind Murkrow on the team. So what we need to do is give us a ×2 multiplier thanks to Tailwind, and we need this number to outspeed Pult. We want to get to 215, so that's going to be about 20 points, right? Or is it 28? Not 216. So 214 right there. And because the way EVs work and stuff like that, if we and you know the Tailwind on top of it, if we just go 20 points in here, we're gonna be outspeeding Pult by even more points and outspeeding other Ceruledges, other Armouges, things like that. So we're technically functioning at like relatively the base speed control that we had before, but we're outspeeding the correct things in a Trick Room, sorry, in a Tailwind setting, while also not going like full speed. We don't need to be full speed. In the rest of the set, I don't necessarily even think you need, actually, you know what? I don't like Life Orb on this thing. I like lefties on it. That's just my opinion. I like lefties. It's not really going to cost us that much. I think the hardest part about using mons with lefties is finding Protect on their set. And so we already have Protector. We already know it's like an integral part of the set. And so I like the lefties here, being able to like let this guy live for a really, really long time and just sitting on the board and just eventually grinding people out. That's how I would play this thing. No Swords Dance. No, you don't need to win. You're here for a long time, not a good time. And if you're here for a long time, it'll end up being a good time. You only really need like 116 points. You still want to go with a plus attack nature. And the reason being, you get 10% boost to your nature. So, you know, 160 to 176, that's 16 points. Let's put those same into defense. So 100 to 110. So 16 points is more points, 6 more points, than 10 points are to defense. So you want to actually still put that up here. It's 6 free points you get by putting those points in your nature, because it's a 10% boost to a higher stat, which gives a higher reward. And the rest of these stats, I would actually just cut up into 60-60. We've talked about this a lot of times. Throwing 60 points to a stat throws up your opponent's calcs of about 5 or 6%. So if they're calcing to KO a Ceruledge that has 252 HP, 252 attack, and 4 in like speed, this lets us live those moves about 6% change in the amount of damage that we're taking. And so if we're combining that with Weaving in Bitterblade for recovery, combining that with Leftovers recovery, we're very, very bulky, but we're still definitely strong enough to be a bully in a lot of situations. So this is a much better set that still basically functions the same way, that can let us bring Ceruledge in a lot more matchups than we'd normally be able to bring it to, notably against water types in this situation. So water types gave us a little bit of issues here too, because it was good. They're usually good versus Hariyama because water types are special. Hariyama has pretty terrible defenses, and Gholdengo kind of struggled with water types as well, especially if we're taking away the Thunderbolt. Like, we want to be able to check those things. Also, like, we have Terra Grass here to also check those water types. It's almost like I play the game. So hopefully you guys like these changes I've made. We're going to go play some games with this team and hopefully get some wins. This is a really cool part. I'm glad you guys liked seeing the teams get used on Showdown. It's a cool change, and yeah, hopefully all the changes I made work. So let's go hop into that. Okay, cool. So very standard. We see the Murkrow, we see the Gholdengo, we see the Garchomp. There's a little bit of redirection. Like, that's a solid team. Like, solid. I think there's a few things we can do to win this one. I think Hariyama in the back's gonna be good for. I hope that Garchomp Scarf, but like, that's AoE Garchomp, Ceruledge. The Armarouge has a lot of AoE. Gholdengo has a lot of AoE. We're potentially gonna be foddering him on at some point, and then bringing in the Hariyama to the repin. So I think something like, I don't think there's an issue with Gholdengo Murkrow, actually. I think it's a solid lead with like the Hariyama in the back. And I like Amoonguss here, but I think Hydreigon might be just a little bit better. There are totally situations use Garchomp, or sorry, use Ceruledge here too, but we don't really need a Terra to any of those. And I think Hydreigon's just a good switch. I think that Garchomp's Scarfed. I'm really leaning heavily into that being a Scarf Chomp. And if it is Scarf Chomp, he wants to either pick like Rock Slide or EQ if they even want to bring it. And so all of our different Terras, all of our different abilities and mons, like, this team looks like it says like, you have to bring Garchomp, I have Ceruledge, and if they don't, they're going to be in for a bad time. So let's see what they want to do. Let's turn the timer on. Oh, get ready. And Gholdengo Murkrow, awesome. So Murkrow trades and Garchomp. So this is fine. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with just clicking and make it rain here. Oh, we actually want to Terra first. So we want to Terra first because they're going to go EQ, and we want to lock them into that. And make our, so our Grass Terra makes so we take reduced damage from that, go for a big Make It Rain, and just go for a Terra. Or sorry, Tailwind. And next turn we can just go for a Haze to take that away. So we're going to trade Tailwinds. Taunt doesn't work. We are a Dark type. They have made a mistake. Big damage. We don't get the kill on the Garchomp. Very, very bulky set. But let's see that EQ. Swords Dance. They're never going to be able to catch us here. They can go for a Quash, like Dragon Claw, I guess. We're just going to Sucker Punch that, because if they Quash us there, we still want to get the KO. So we're playing around Quash here. I think you actually, can you Quash Gholdengo? I don't actually know. Either way, it's gone. Doesn't matter. We don't need to haste. We absolutely don't even need to show that we have it yet. There's no reason to do it. They get their Tailwind up. Couldn't have stopped that at all. So right here, they're thinking they're fine. They traded Tailwinds with us, but now they're like, that Gholdengo can't do anything, and so we can just go for Haze. I think, I don't know if you can Quash Gholdengo, because Gold is Gold is a very, very good ability. Like, it stops, like, everything, basically. Immune to status moves, yeah, I don't think you can Quash that, because it's targeting it. Correct me, chat. I haven't actually played against like Quash Murkrow with that. But let's see what they want to send out. We are locked into big choice Choice Specs Make It Rain. So if they send out like Armarouge, they're gonna get a lot of damage here. Mouse Scarlet, we hit that. Into the F, we hit that. So this is actually completely fine. They go for a U-turn here. That would be bad, but it's okay. Make it rain, and the haze. The haze for days, making plays. We also have the big Brave Bird into that Mouse Guard. We talked about Mouse Guard as one of the reasons why we wanted Brave Bird in this set in the first place. So very good stuff. We no longer can go for Sucker Punch on these guys, but I think we're in a good spot. Double dip in that Grass Terra, helping hand. Haze takes away the Spadef boost on that as well. We do not get KO'd because we're dummy thick, and big damage. Oh my gosh, it's just so good. It's just, do you see the value here? Yes, they made a little misplay, but like this is what Murkrow brings to this team. And you could surround this Haze with the Hydreigon, you could surround it with the Ceruledge to stop Intimidates. It's so nice. And I understand that this is a very meta change to this team, but we have not meta options here. Like, we have the Hydreigon that's built a little bit different with the poison. We have the Iron Ball Amoonguss. We have a Hariyama that we don't really bring as the lead, but we bring it to solidify those matchups in the back. These are the slight changes, taking it from being a cookie cutter team, making it to be one that looks like a cookie cutter team that plays completely differently if its back's pushed up against the wall. So if you guys like these videos, if you want to see more videos like it, let me know in the comments. You guys can also still submit your teams on Patreon. You know, I'm working on making a 2 or 3 a day, and it's not Patreon right there. Patreon's right here. I'm working on making 2 or 3 a day, and I'm trying to post as many of these videos as possible. And even if I can't get to all of them, there's going to be another team submission going up the second week of January. So if you're at all interested in getting this sort of insight done in your team and getting a second set of eyes, or even 3, 4, 5, 10 set of eyes, I think there's over 1,000 people on Patreon right now. Submit your team, and we'll do our very best to help. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Other than that, peace out, and I'll see you guys next time.